He's calling you. He's drawing you. You think you just woke up one day and said, I think I'll start going to church. I think I'll start loving Jesus. That's not what happened. What happened is that Jesus is calling you. His Spirit is drawing you before you even know that He's around. He's drawing you. He's calling you. He's put people in your path. He's put neighbors. He's put friends. He's put ministers. He's put family members in your life to show you the lifeboat. To show you that there is hope in this generation that we live in right now. He's drawing you. He's calling you. As many as the Lord our God shall call. How do I know if God is calling me? You know because you're listening to me right now. He has put you in the path of the gospel. He's put you in the path of His name, His blood, and His word that has all power and all authority. The fact that you're hearing the fact that you're hearing this plea to you today, this message of hope and truth to you today, is proof that God loves you and He's calling you now. With many other words, he, Peter, talking to these people, bore witness and continued to exhort them, saying, save yourselves from this crooked generation. And I say that to everybody here today. I say that to you today. Save yourself from this crooked generation. Now, when I say crooked generation, that doesn't mean that you're like all burglarizing houses and, that you're all addicted to drugs, or that you're living a life of crime, or, you have your own crop in the backyard that you're trying to hide from people, or maybe you have that. I don't know. I'm just saying, I'm not inferring that everybody's living a life of that, whatever, but I want to make a plea. I want to give truth to you today that says simply this: step out of the rat race. Step out of the jealousy. Step out of the fear that you have. Step out of that past that you've been carrying and dragging with you. Step out of the cycle. Step out. Today, there's a lifeboat here for you today. He's calling you to step out of this crooked generation. Some of you are living a pace of life in the church, in the world today. You've been sucked into the crookedness of this generation that is simply a prideful, selfish, self-centeredness. And it's time for you to step out of, save yourself from that cycle. There's a loneliness. Even though you're in a room of several hundred people here, there's a loneliness because you have isolated yourself socially. You have separated yourself mentally because of situations, because of things that have happened, because of whatever. That's the way you're geared, your personality, whatever. You have been taken away from the community of God. And the message today is, save yourself from that. Save yourself from that. Step into the lifeboat today. Peter says a few years later, same man that's been preaching, 1 Peter 3:18, he wrote this letter. For Christ also suffered once for sin, the righteousness for unrighteousness. In other words, Jesus Christ died once for every single one of us. He died one time. The righteousness, the good for the bad, the unrighteousness. He was good. He died for our unrighteousness, that he might bring us to God. He died for you, not for some ambiguous love reason, but so that you today right now, when you put your faith in him, you would be brought to God. You would be brought out of the crooked generation. You would be placed on the lifeboat, being put to death in the flesh, but made alive in your spirit, in which he went and proclaimed to the spirits in prison, because they were formerly did not believe or obey, when God's patience, here it comes again, when God's patience waited in the days of Noah, while the lifeboat was being prepared, while the ark was being prepared, in which a few, that is 8 people, 8 persons, were brought safely through the water. Verse 21, baptism, which corresponds to this lifeboat, which corresponds to Noah, baptism now saves you. Not as the removal of dirt from the body. It's not like you're taking a bath. We have a baptistry here. We baptized people this morning in the 9 o'clock service. When you get in, and some of you will be baptized today. After this service, you will be baptized today. When you get in that water, you're not cleaning the dirt off. It's not what that's all about. But it is an appeal to God for a good conscience through the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Baptism is your process of getting into this boat. Peter's telling us it was Peter who commanded them many times in the book of Acts, be baptized. Started in Acts, the 2nd chapter, but it continued throughout. If you read the book of Acts, Peter's commanding them to be baptized. Be baptized. Why? Well, he says in 1 Peter 3:21, baptism is an appeal to God for a good conscience. Now, to believe that you literally going down in immersion all the way under the water and coming back up, to believe that physical act of you getting wet and coming up saves you is wrong theology. It's not the act of baptism that somehow saves you. You're saved because of what Jesus did on the cross. But when you are baptized, what happens is your faith, something happens. Something does happen in the water. Something is actively happening when you as a believer chooses to die this death and go into the water. The old you is buried and put away. Your faith is taken to the next level. So when they would go into a city, when they would go into a place and they would say, what hinders you from being baptized? What is it that's in your life that's keeping you from baptism? And the disciples knew that it was nothing physical because they would be standing by a river. They had church by the river. That's where the new church began, as they would gather by the river. So we know it's nothing physical because we can get in the water right now. So is there anything in your life that you're still holding on to, saying that I won't let go of this? I can't get in the lifeboat right now because I'm still struggling with this. I still want this, or whatever it is. What hinders you? And if they would say nothing, we are ready to get in the water, then it's right now. There's nothing that's going to stop. So as a church at Promised Land, we have a very, very, very high priority to be ready at any time for anyone to be baptized. You don't have to go through a class. You don't have to be here. You don't have to be an official member of our church. You can be visiting here from Missouri or wherever. It doesn't matter. We have clothes that you can wear. We have towels that you can use. And they're clean, all right? They're good. The water is chlorinated. It's warm. There's nothing here. We will help you get in and get out. Some people have a fear of the water. Some people have a disability. We have baptized quadriplegics. We have baptized people that are athletes. We have baptized big, small. There's nothing here that will hinder you physically from being baptized. The only thing that is in between you and getting in the lifeboat is, I don't know, you tell me. What hinders you holding on to the old life, holding on in? For those of you that are ready, you've been thinking about it, you've been contemplating it, today is the day of salvation.